Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. And the Breakfast Club is a group that was founded right after the events of 9/11 by several friends that had gotten together. They're professionals and friends, and they met regularly to kind of strategize about their job search and to assist each other. One of those friends was Frank Kovacs. And Frank is he remains the group leader. He did have something personal to attend to today. He may join in a little later, but just asked that Jerry and I run the meeting right now on his behalf. And so Frank has been our fearless leader since the group started as a larger group the way it is now. There are currently 10 people in the group's leadership and management, all do a little bit different job. You may recognize us, some of us, at least when we're in the meeting room, we have this badge, this little Breakfast Club badge. I think Adrian is on the call, I saw before. Not sure if she's wearing her badge, not sure if Jerry is, but I thought to wear mine. And what's nice about that is once we resume in-person meetings and we get there a little early and chit chat and catch up with each other, whenever you have questions about the Breakfast Club or suggestions or anything that you want to contribute, you can always walk up to any of the people who has the badge. A lot of us want to walk up and chat with Frank, and so many people do. He typically doesn't have a lot of time, but he tries to make that time. But there are other people that can assist you until you have the opportunity to speak with Frank. The total group membership over the years has grown to over 6,000 people, and including hundreds of C-level employees. So clearly, when you start communicating with the Breakfast Club through some of our social media, we'll talk about that in a moment, you'll have the opportunity to reach really a lot of people who could potentially be very impactful and very helpful to you. There are a lot of resources that the group has. One is the Breakfast Club website. It is called thebreakfastclubnj.com, thebreakfastclubnj.com. And if you leave the NJ off, you probably get a website that talks about that movie from the 80s, nice movie, but if you want to get in touch with our group, make sure it's thebreakfastclubnj.com. We do put a lot of resources out there while we are running virtual right now. We'll continue to do so for as long as we can and need to. We are posting our meeting info and connection info out on our website, always on the information page about the current meeting. We do have a Yahoo group, which is one of our primary ways of communicating among each other. The way you join a Yahoo group is on the upper right corner of the website. There is a Join the Breakfast Club Today link or button. You click on that, and you do have to put in some information, which does include your name, your email address, your phone number, and who referred you into the group. Please don't leave any of that blank, because the form does require all those fields to be put in. So we do ask, do provide your email address and your phone number. Some people a little cautious of doing that, but we promise we won't overly spam you. Well, we won't spam you at all. We won't overly email you. And if you need someone to refer you, right now there are 62 people on the call. Pick any one of those names. We would be happy to refer you. You're welcome to use my name for that as well. Once you're in the Yahoo group, we do have the means to communicate to each other through Yahoo groups. It's thebreakfastclubnj@yahoogroups.com, thebreakfastclubnj@yahoogroups.com. And in there, you write an email through your regular email system, send it to that email address, and all the Yahoo group members, there are over 2,400 people in that group right now, all people that are members of the Breakfast Club. You could introduce yourself, maybe write your elevator pitch so people get to know you. You might hear about a job listing or job posting, not quite relevant for you, but you want to share with others. Or as Frank likes to say, you can use it for just about any communication to the group, but don't use it to sell your boat. So it's really not for personal type stuff, but certainly, excuse me, for communicating within the group. You can ask questions, you can seek advice, promote functions, events that are coming up, share positions that you hear. Okay, so, but not any job-related activities. I'm sure we are all on LinkedIn. If you're not, you absolutely should be. We're not going to be talking about that in great detail today, but we do have a LinkedIn group called The Breakfast Club NJ. Actually, I believe it's The Breakfast Club -NJ. So look for the LinkedIn group and once you're in that group, there's a join button, so please join the LinkedIn group as well. There are over 1,800 members in the LinkedIn group. Other areas of social media where we are present, certainly LinkedIn, as I mentioned before, our Yahoo group where we have activity. Twitter, we do have a Twitter site. We do have a Facebook page. And not long ago, we started our YouTube page as well. So we have a couple of videos out there. This session is being recorded as well, and we will put that on our YouTube page. I'll remind you again later, but also just letting you know right now, in case anyone has to leave early, we are meeting next month in June virtually. And so that's going to be, June 13th, lucky 13. Eileen Sinet is going to be our presenter, Body Language for Job Seekers. And so that's very important, both in person and virtually. So it's very important. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So the meeting ground rules as we get ourselves started. In a moment, I'm just going to quickly turn the meeting over to Jerry Payton. Jerry runs our presentation committee, and I participate with Jerry on that, which has been really fun and a privilege to do so. And so Jerry will introduce Sharon. This slide deck will be on the Breakfast Club of New Jersey website, so take a look a little bit later. The video will be live on YouTube, or recorded on YouTube, probably, if not by this evening, by tomorrow morning. We have a little processing time that we just have to do from getting it from GoToMeeting. Again, please keep your audio on mute. It's just a courtesy to everybody else. We will try to be quiet, but sometimes there's unexpected background noise and we just don't want to interrupt the program. And I'll be keeping an eye on that myself. And if I see there's noise, I will be muting people. For using questions, we use the chat function of GoToMeeting. In the upper right corner of your screen, you see a couple of icons. One looks like a couple of people. Mine says 67, so that means there's 67 active people on the call right now. Then next to it is a little kind of cartoon blip. And if you have not opened it, there's a number next to it. If you have opened it, it's probably no number. That's chat. And so what I ask is that any questions that you have for Sharon throughout the program, please use chat. And then the other side is, don't turn on your microphone to ask questions. We are expecting a very large group of people, and with so many people, it can get a little bit disorganized to use your microphones for questions as people step on top of each other. I will be monitoring the chat while Sharon gives her presentation. Now, she does have some spots during the program that she's going to stop and take questions. So we're not going to go through the whole program. You don't have to hold your questions the whole time. So we'll try and answer them as closely as possible. Okay, and let's see. I think that she said one intermission. And your video, you can keep your camera on, you can keep your camera off. That's perfectly up to you. As you watch your presentation, there's a little button at the top of your GoToMeeting. Probably a lot of you have it. It says view everyone. It's got some arrows. So that means you're seeing, you have the opportunity to see everybody as a little bit of a thumbnail. You can change that to hide everybody or only to who's talking. And then that will show you the screen without the other images there, in case you find that distracting. So that's your choice how you wish to view. So at this moment, what I'll do is turn the presentation or the meeting over to Jerry Payton, and Jerry will introduce Sharon. And while he does that, Sharon, I will activate you as presenter. And did you change your name? Let's see. Oh, there you are, Sharon Bussy. Good, you're not an instructor. So, Jerry, please take it away.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Actually, when I introduced Sharon today, I've actually met Sharon first by taking a class at her center at BTII. It was a scaled Agile class. So I'm going to give two things here. I want to first, I'll give her bio, but then I want to talk about the experience that I had at the center, because I think that will give you who Sharon really is, and that's why personally I'm very excited that she's talking today at the Breakfast Club. First, I'm going to give her bio here. Sharon Bussy is the Managing Director of BTI Institute, a training and consulting firm. BTII was founded by Sharon in 2009 to train unemployed professionals to obtain high-demand certifications and assist them in obtaining gainful employment using government grants. Sharon holds an MBA in Marketing and Operations from the Wharton School in the University of Pennsylvania and MS in Computer Science from Pace University. What I wanted to mention is when I took the class, it was a scaled Agile class, there were probably over 20 people in the class. What was so interesting is about, I'd say, over 80% of them had just recently been unemployed. So what you would feel in a lot of classes that I've taken like that is it would be a down class. People would be depressed about losing their jobs. It was the reverse. And what it was is the people there had all told me, and they came, not only introduced themselves and said Sharon had helped them get government grants, so it was being paid for by the government. They wasn't coming out of their pocket. Sharon was helping them to pick out the right programs for them, and they were taking several classes. They were all very excited about getting these new certifications. It was almost like a college class of people excited about going into getting this training and getting their jobs. And Sharon helped them with getting materials for training. She would help them form study groups, had actually even shared some of their computer space so the people would be able to organize and share the information together. And afterwards, I'd have to say, I started seeing the certifications in LinkedIn as one after another in the class were achieving their certifications. And then Sharon mentioned to me that a lot of people aren't able to actually, in fact, I think it was most, aren't able to even finish the program, and that's because they get jobs faster than the program is over. So I'm sure they were disappointed that they got jobs before the class was over, or the program was over, but I just wanted to sort of mention that, and Sharon is so passionate about it, and the class had so much energy, it was energizing for me to even go there. From that standpoint, I'd like to introduce Sharon and thank her for coming to speak to our group. Sharon?
Thank you, Jerry, for that very gracious introduction. And you have been a friend and an advisor, and you are much appreciated. Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited about this presentation. We are going to discuss certifications that we feel will be very valuable to you in your career. So the presentation is Advanced Secure or Transition Your Career with High Demand Certifications. So the agenda is first and foremost, why certify? It takes time, it takes effort. So we want to begin with that. And we're going to talk about resources for top certifications. And then we're going to talk about what we call enterprise certifications. And then I'm going to share a few success stories and transition services that includes the grants and the job search services we provide. And then Q&A. We will have a Q&A somewhere in the middle as well. So why certify? First and foremost, and David just mentioned the chat. I will keep the chat open so that I can see anything coming through. And let me just go down. Okay. So first and foremost, we want to talk about why anyone would certify, taking time out of your schedule. If you're not employed, that also takes time away from job search. So first and foremost, we want to think about it as something that provides career security. And Jerry and I have had this discussion before about career security versus job security. And we don't believe in job security. Even when things are going extremely well, something can go wrong. A budget can be cut. Your boss can change positions. Or right now, we're in a pandemic that no one would have ever imagined.
You know what? I'll take a look at that. Somebody has your microphone on.
Okay.
There it goes.
Great.
And Jerry, your mic is still active, so I'm going to mute you for now.
Okay.
Good.
So what is career security? Well, you obtain career security by having increased knowledge. You want to be the most knowledgeable person in the room wherever possible. You want to be the go-to person. And that provides some level of career security. Promotions, very often people are promoted because of certification. Some companies even require certain certifications for promotion. Very often, as we'll see in some of the data, it leads to higher salaries. New opportunities. Very often you can utilize certifications to transition into a new role or get an advancement in your current role. It demonstrates a very productive use of your time, especially when you're in transition. When someone asks, what have you been doing with your time? Very often the only answer you have is looking for employment. And so by earning certifications, you can say that I also took this opportunity to retool, to advance my skills, and that shows initiative, and it shows that you are trying to better yourself even in a time that's difficult. And then the last one is demonstrate cognitive and mental acuity. Very often we are concerned about age discrimination. Many professionals feel that companies like to hire younger people. And although the people who are older and more experienced bring a lot more to the table. And so when companies are looking for younger people, sometimes it's the feeling that younger people are learning the new technologies, learning new things, and are mentally sharper. And so we all know that's not true. And so this is a way to demonstrate your cognitive and mental acuity. Earning these very difficult certifications demonstrates that you are not only highly experienced and bring more to the table, but that you are staying abreast of what's new, that you're not afraid of change. So there are many, many advantages to certifications in terms of creating career security. So top certifications. This is very tricky because there are so many certifications. So just going on to Google and Googling your the profession that you're in and typing in top certifications will yield you lots and lots of information. And so everyone here has very, very different backgrounds. So I decided to share with you a website that I like because it is very varied. And even for us, the people who come for training, it really varies from, you have your IT people, you have your marketing people, your HR people, your construction management people, it's just across the board. And so this is a source, it's called payscale.com, and it has a section that's just focused on certifications. And so here I've clicked on information technology, and this is what it yielded. So it yields a set of certifications, and then you can click on those certifications to dive deeper. So I'm going to click here. And it's taking a moment. And I had clicked on information technology. And here you have a comprehensive listing of certifications, not all, but it's pretty good. And so, for example, let's look at Certified Information Security, System Security Professional. Click on that, and it provides you with various titles, salary ranges, and you can go even deeper. It also lists things like gender breakdown, job satisfaction, and also the employers that are hiring for these positions, years of experience, And so I find this really interesting because it's a lot of information in one place. Again, there are lots of different sources, but I think this is a great place to look. And you can dive deeper into the employers, for example, and then see what they have available. So these are various positions that are associated with those certifications. So you dive a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. They have the salaries, the bonus, reviews, benefits, and so on. So I think this is a really great source. And again, it has ratings from employees and so on. There are many, many different sources. There's Glassdoor, and there's just doing a standard search. But this is the one that I decided to show today because I like the level of depth that it provides. And if we go back, that's just IT. You have human resources, you have marketing. So it has a number of different areas that covers many different areas. We have construction, business operations, general management for managers and executives. So one thing I wanted to point out, if we go back to the presentation, is I have highlighted or underlined various certifications. The ones that are underlined in orange, those are what we refer to as professional certifications. They are very specific to a type of job. I've also underlined another set of certifications in green. This is what we refer to as enterprise certifications. These enterprise certifications are certifications that cut across various industries, various disciplines. And as you look at different areas, you'll see these same certifications repeating over and over and over again. So the focus of our conversation today is going to be on these, what we call enterprise certifications, because they're cutting across. I didn't know the audience, and assuming looking at the number of people, I knew that it would be a very broad set of backgrounds, a very diverse set of backgrounds. And so we're going to dive deeper into the project management and Agile. So what do we mean by enterprise certifications? These are certifications that enable enterprises to more effectively define and deliver strategic objectives. So these are certifications that enable the organizations to go through their planning cycle and then know that they're going to be delivered efficiently and effectively, those strategies using these techniques. Secondly, they can be applied across disciplines. So whether you're in finance or HR, IT, legal, marketing, operations, these skill sets learned with these certifications cut completely across. So you can have a PMP or an Agile certification and apply it to all of these different areas. You can utilize those skill sets because ultimately what you're doing is delivering the organization's strategic objectives regardless of where you are in the organization. Third, it provides a set of tools and approaches to achieve competitive advantage. So it's prescriptive. It gives you a toolbox, if you will, that will enable you to get your work done. So instead of trying to figure things out, they have processes and procedures and ceremonies, if we're talking about Agile, and artifacts, things that you use that are proven by many, many companies over and over and over again. So it provides you with the toolbox of proven frameworks, methodologies that work. And that's why we're focusing on these enterprise certifications. So what the first category that we'd like to talk about, we're not going to dive into very deeply, but it's business intelligence. So this is really important because in order to come up with those strategic objectives, they have to know the what. So they have to use data-driven, they have to make data-driven decisions to come up with those strategies. So they're not just saying, we want to build this product or that product. Those decisions are data-driven. And that's why the business intelligence data analytics certifications are really important. After they know the what comes the how. And so there are two primary frameworks for the how. There's Waterfall, which is traditional project management, project and program management. And then there's Agile, which has grown immensely, I would say, over the past 5 years, just exponential growth with these areas. And so we're going to spend most of our time on the how. The business intelligence certifications are really important. And we will talk a little bit about that, but we're going to focus on the how certifications, the delivery certifications. How do you get things done? How do you gain competitive advantage? How do you achieve the strategic objectives? So I'm just going to give a very brief history for what we call the enterprise certifications, and they're not in any particular order. So Project Management Institute implemented, they administer the PMP certification, which most of you are very familiar with. And when people think about project management, they're thinking in terms of certifications, the focus is typically on PMP. So in 1981, a project team was assigned the job of developing standards for project management. And 2 years later, an ethics standards and accreditation body was formed, and they created a report and published it, recommending that a certification program be developed. And then in 84, there was the first accreditation, the first accreditation exam was held. And 43 people passed the exam and became the first project management professionals. In 1996, the first project management body of knowledge, so that's the guide, was published. And so this has evolved over time. There have been many, many project management exams, but this is the one that has evolved as the premier certification. That's broadly accepted, regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what discipline you're in. So this is the premier certification. It started with in aerospace engineering and construction, and then moved into IT, R&D, on and on. But this is the premier organization, Project Management Institute, and the PMP certification. In 2012, they came out with their very first Agile certification, which is called the ACP, Agile Certified Practitioner. And then they grew from there, and now they actually have a scaled Agile certification as well. History of Lean Six Sigma. So the other certification that you'll see very broadly, not as popular as the project management and Agile certs, is the Six Sigma certifications. And so it started with Motorola, and it was developed to complete with Kaizen. And then in 1988, they won the national quality, the premier national quality award. And then it became heavily used in manufacturing. And in the 1990s, Jack Welch really made it popular at GE. And then in the 90s, they also merged it with the managerial concepts of Lean. And then we had Lean Six Sigma. The third category we're going to talk about is Agile. So most people feel that Agile is new because it's grown exponentially in recent years, but it's actually not new. So in the early 70s, we had a lightweight evolutionary project management and adaptive software development emerged. So essentially, for many of the projects, the traditional project management methodologies were not working, where you did a lot of upfront planning and then delivering on the end. So for software, they developed more adaptive ways to do that. So Agile actually began in the 70s. And then more frameworks developed. So in 1991, we had rapid application development, 94, UP, and so on. In 1995, Scrum was developed by Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland. And then 96, XP, 97, feature-driven development. But when it really got its legs was in 2001. So a group of 17 thought leaders got together and formed a group and created what's called the Agile Manifesto. And the Agile Manifesto is the document that is used across all Agile projects. It's a set of values and principles. And these values and principles are used to determine and guide Agile projects. And there are many, many different frameworks for Agile, but they all follow this set of principles of incremental delivery and so on. So Agile began more in the IT world, the software development world, and now it has emerged and it's grown into many, many other areas. And we're going to talk later about scaled Agile and how they are really focusing on what's called business agility and using these Agile concepts across the entire business to gain competitive advantage. So Agile versus Waterfall. And so again, most people the large majority of people were more familiar with Waterfall. And then over the past 5 years or so, Agile really began to emerge and grow very rapidly. So this is very surprising. So this is a study that was done by version 1. And what it's showing is a shift from, okay, so I'm sorry, there's some questions coming through chat. I'm going to stop for a second. Okay.
Most of it is banter, not a lot of questions. So
okay,
if you want to wait until your stop point,
yeah,
that's fine too.
Okay. So what this slide is showing is what we've been seeing. We've seen it with employers. We've seen a tremendous shift to Agile or growth in Agile. So this slide basically is from a number of employers who were surveyed by version 1. And this says 2% of our teams are not Agile. Only 2%. So that means that 98% of their teams are Agile, which is kind of a shocking number, given that it's really become popular over the past 5 years or so. And then we have on this extreme, 25% of our teams are all Agile, meaning that these companies would refer to themselves as being an all Agile shop. And that's also very surprising. And then if you combine the all Agile shops with those that are majority, you have 52%. So as you consider certifications, bear in mind that there's a lot of activity happening in Agile project management and program management and portfolio management. So this is really important to note how the organization is shifting. And this is not saying that Waterfall is not important. It is. And many organizations need Waterfall for their types of projects. And we're going to go over when to use Agile versus when to use Waterfall. but the large majority of companies are shifting. And that's very important as you plan career changes, plan out your career. So the Agile, we talked about as being an umbrella term for anything, any type of project that is utilizing those values and principles of Agile. And so there are many different frameworks. The most popular by far is Scrum. And so this is something you may want to really consider, is getting Scrum certified. And again, it's not just for IT anymore, it's a way of delivering your work. If you combine Scrum plus the hybrids of Scrum, which are Scrum Bond, Scrum XP, you're up to 72%. So learning Scrum is really important. So why do we see this shift or this increase in Agile? First and foremost, it enables companies to manage changing priorities. And so if you think about most organizations, whether they're developing products or services, things change. A customer wants something, and then as more information is available, it evolves. And so you want to understand what type of initiative you're working on, what type of project, what type of strategic objective you're trying to deliver, and have a real understanding of whether or not you're in a situation where things could evolve. And so being able to evolve and change priorities enables companies to be more competitive, because as new information comes in, they can switch gears. And it's built in. It's not a big deal. It's not a major change. It's built into the way they're working. Project visibility is another reason Agile is growing so rapidly. It enables visibility throughout the organization. Everyone sees what's being worked on. It enables better alignment as part of that visibility. Team morale, you have self-organizing teams. The teams are empowered because they are participating in laying out what gets done, how the work gets delivered. Delivery speed, time to market. This is one of the key features of Agile that we're going to discuss. It enables companies to deliver work incrementally, meaning that the products and services are getting into the hands of the customers and users and internal, external customers, getting into their hands faster. And the faster it gets into their hands, then that also lowers risk because they get feedback faster, and so on. So there are many, many benefits that are driving this transition to or expansion of Agile. Okay, so we're going to stop here and take a look at some of the questions in the chat.
So Mark has a comment and a request, I guess really more for you guys to take offline. He sees this as valuable for another program, another meeting as well. But for folks who are paying attention or part of the program right now, if you've got some specific questions about what Sharon has talked about so far, please enter those in chat. Make sure you pick everybody so we can all see them, especially so Sharon and I can, and we will address those immediately.
Is there anything specific, David, or should I continue?
You know, if we just wait a moment, if one question comes in, you'll be able to answer that, and the others may come in right after.
Okay.
You know,
I have another break point coming up shortly, so I can do it then.
Okay, you know, maybe that's fine. Maybe you need certification on typing skills so we can type more quickly. So there's the first from Grant. What is the difference between Scrum and, I don't know this acronym, SAFE or SAFE?
Yes, we're actually going to dive into that in about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
Samir has a question. Is there a way that one can do evaluations of what certification one needs? For example, I might be in marketing, so what might I need in order to proceed in a particular direction?
Sure, and we can definitely have that conversation. It's really research. Also, feel free to reach out to me. We talk to a lot of students, and we do what's called career planning, where we talk about what your goals are and where the marketplace is going. And we actually do have marketing professionals who have done really well with Agile and Safe. And there's one person in particular I'm thinking of who was able to become an Agile transformation leader, a marketing Agile transformation leader at American Express. And so this is everything that we're talking about cuts across disciplines. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll have my information up at the end, and I'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay, and he thanked you. And I'm just getting through, a couple people wrote to me directly, so I'm gonna look at that. So I think we're good to move on for now.
Okay, fantastic.
And just remind people that, of course, we're available and Sharon's available for Q&A. So if you've got a question along the way, you can actually type it in right when your question comes up, and a few minutes later, she'll be ready to answer it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Agile and Waterfall, regardless of which one you're more interested in, both of them are important. And the reason for that is both are used to deliver strategic objectives. And so when we think about the strategic objectives, they're utilizing both Waterfall and Agile slash Safe. At the top, you have the enterprise. So for Waterfall, you're looking at strategic planning, drives vision, mission, objectives, initiatives. And on the Agile side, it looks very similar. Drives vision, mission, objectives, initiatives. We have something here called epics. So this is an additional term that you'll see in Agile and especially within Safe. So it's a senior level. It's basically a story around what the organization's trying to deliver. At the portfolio level, you have enterprise architects, portfolio managers, PMO funding via cost center accounting. And then on the Agile side, you also have enterprise architects. You have what's called epic owners. And you'll see this as a job title. And I think, in fact, I've seen it at Prudential. So many companies have what's called an epic owner. When you see that, this is what they're typically referring to, portfolio level professionals who are working in Agile and scaled Agile. This is lean portfolio management, also jobs that you'll see around portfolio management, and it's lean. Agile, I think I forgot to mention, Agile is actually based on lean. We have APMO, that's Agile Product Management. Agile Project Management Office, and you have Lean Agile Centers of Excellence. These are all great places to work, and having these Agile and Scaled Agile certifications, in this case, it's Scaled Agile, will enable you to work in these kinds of areas. And in these areas, instead of using cost center accounting, you're using value streams. And it's the value streams that are funded. So for those of you who are in finance, this is an interesting career choice, because you'll be on the forefront of figuring out, as organizations transition, how to fund and evaluate the different kinds of initiatives that are occurring in the organization, because it's a shift. It's a tremendous shift to go from cost center accounting to value stream accounting. And having these certifications on the Agile safe side, and especially the safe side, would enable you to be at the forefront of learning how to do this. There are so many different opportunities. So it's not just IT, marketing, it's in all of the support functions like finance, like human resources. So with human resources, you have to figure out how to hire people that fit into this Agile world. You have to figure out how to promote them because they're working in teams and so on. So how do you assess and evaluate in this new world? So it's not just the functions that are driving the bottom line where there are opportunities. There are lots of opportunities in the support functions because all of that has to change in order to support the rest of it. Program level. For those of you who are familiar with the PMP, traditional project management, it's driven by work packages, programs, and projects. And in the Agile, scaled Agile world, it's driven by customer-centric solution trains and Agile release trains. And everything is designed around the customer. It's customer centricity is a term that is used. And then in Waterfall, you have a project mindset, delivering the project on schedule, on budget. In Agile, you have a product service mindset. It's what does the customer need? How do they need it? How do we adapt to deliver it in the best way to the customer? So either way you look at it, these are ways of delivering the strategic objectives and gaining competitive advantage. So very briefly, sorry, I just wanted to do a time check. Sorry. Okay. So very briefly, in terms of growth, so project management, whether you're looking at Waterfall or Agile or Scaled Agile, is growing rapidly. Those who work in project management-oriented roles earn a premium, and those who get certified earn an even greater premium. Most sectors are growing. So here we have healthcare sector growing 17%, and this is just basically showing the number of positions that are available for project managers and project management oriented roles across industries. And the estimates, the job outlook estimates is that by 2027, they will be about 88 million individuals working in project oriented roles. So it's growing and it's not slowing down. And it's permeating every part of the business, places where you didn't have to demonstrate bottom line. It's happening now, and that's what's driving it. There's a salary survey that PMI has, and it demonstrates that with PMP certification, you earn a premium. It also shows you the breadth and depth of the types of positions. And so this is annualized salary by department. These salaries are across the US, so not necessarily representative of the New York tri-state area. So in this area, the salaries would be higher, but the value of this slide is basically just showing how it's used across. So whether you're in an internal consulting group, you're in customer service, PR, engineering, finance, HR, operations, manufacturing, quality, R&D, sales, marketing, supply chain. It's across the board where project management is used, and that's why we call them enterprise certifications. They cut across. And here, this slide is showing the various industries. So we had mentioned earlier that it started with aerospace, construction, and engineering, but now it's really covering all of the industries, especially IT, which we kind of already knew, but also you have government. Government heavily uses project management because government likes processes. So let's start to talk about the differences between Waterfall and Agile and SAFe. And so I thought I'd give an example, something that we can all relate to, which are smartphones. And so we go back to 96, that's when we had our very first flip phone. And then in 99, we had Blackberries, and we were all proud to carry our Blackberries. But a lot happened between 2007 and 2011. And there were many companies in this space. I had a Microsoft phone because I thought that was the way of the future for business people. It was fully integrated with Microsoft Office, which is why I purchased it. But very soon, the other companies also had that feature. And so basically, if you think about who did well in the market, it was really feature driven. And everyone purchased their phones based upon the cameras, the videos, the features, the music, what you could do with those phones. And that's how the decisions were made. And that basically dictated which companies would do well and which companies didn't. It was a race for features and functionality. And so this is showing a 4-year span. So let's take two hypothetical companies. And both of them talk to their customers, they do focus groups and surveys, and they learn about what features people are looking for. And let's say we're in 2007, and they pretty much come up with the same set of features. One company decides to do it with Waterfall. And so they have all the features, all the requirements, and essentially, at a high level, what they're doing is they gather it all up front, and then 4 years later, they deliver the entire thing. So that's just a simplistic view of Waterfall. You can, of course, do it in phases, but at a high level, that's what's happening. You're trying to get all of your information up front and deliver it on the back end. So in that 4-year period, whatever we determined we wanted up front is pretty much most of what we delivered on the back end. So let's say, take hypothetical company number 2. If they would have done the same project starting with Agile, they would have had a very different outcome. And so what Agile does is it delivers iteratively. So in our example, we're using months. So let's say every month, the team comes up, delivers new features, new functionality. So they each month they deliver, they get feedback from their customers, and then they deliver again, and then they get more feedback, and then they deliver again, and they get more feedback. So what this enables us to do is take that feedback and adapt the features and functions. So let's say a new technology comes out in the middle that enables a better camera or enables a better video. And so as you're doing it iteratively, you get to incorporate all of the new technologies, all of the new learnings, and you come out with a very different product that the customer has had more input into. And this is the benefit of Agile. So they are not going to get the perfect phone up front, but they're going to get something in their hands that they can use and play with and understand and provide feedback. And then they have more functionality and more functionality. If they see something new or different, that can be incorporated. If they come up with new ideas, that can be incorporated. So that is the value of Agile. And so it's you're delivering in an iterative way with constant input from your customers, whether they're internal or external. And so when you are in a waterfall environment, you're planning, you're delivering, you're checking, and you're delivering. In an agile environment, this A is adjusting. So you're delivering in smaller increments, but instead of delivering one big increment, you are adjusting. So you're taking that first increment, you're getting feedback, and you're adjusting it. When you're working in a waterfall environment, you first determine the scope of work. So we come up with our 100 features and 1,000 requirements up front for the smartphone. You determine your scope, and based on the scope, you then determine your cost and your schedule. You do a lot of heavy upfront planning to accomplish this. And you do not start executing until you have finalized your scope, your schedule, and your budget. Then you execute. Agile is the opposite in that you determine your cost and your schedule. Your scope is going to vary based on the feedback that you get from your customer. And so you fix your cost and your schedule, and your scope varies based on that feedback. So when do you use traditional project management methodologies associated with the P&P, and when do you use Agile methodologies? So traditional project management is used when the requirements are clear and fixed. There's very little to no ambiguity, and the client has high confidence, the organization has experience, and this is ideal for things like the delivery of a construction project, because you have to know everything up front, or for a short project that whenever the project is known. So you can have an IT project that falls into this category, where everything is known up front, there's going to be no variance, and you can just deliver it. Agile is used when you want to be able to incorporate new ideas and feedback. So it's change-driven. It's designed to facilitate change. Typically, value is delivered in short increments, 2 to 4 weeks. This is the time frame for Scrum. There are other frameworks like XP, where it's 1 week. And the environment is changing, and you want to be able to adapt. This is the framework for the P&P, Waterfall project management. It consists of 5 process groups, 10 knowledge areas, and 49 processes that take you from point A, which is the development of the project charter, to kick off your project, to point Z, which is closing out the project. All of the 47 processes in between are designed to get you from here to here. And if you notice, there's a lot of processes, a lot being done in initiating and planning. And that's before you can begin executing. Agile tries to move away from this in that there is planning, but the planning is ongoing versus heavy planning up front. So how does Agile work? So we have 3 roles, and there's certifications associated with these 3 roles. We have the product owner role, we have Scrum Master role. There are product owner certifications, there are Scrum Master certifications. Then there's development team roles. Those are the people who are actually delivering the work. So in an IT project, it would be your developers, your quality testers. But again, it does not have to be IT, it can be anything. So if this project were per se a marketing project, it could be content developers, it could be market researchers. So this is a team that is needed to actually get the work done. So what happens? The product owner, who is typically a subject matter expert, doesn't have to be, but is always the voice of the customer. This person is representing the customer. Comes up with a product backlog, which is similar to the requirements documentation. And they prioritize the work that has to be done. So this person decides what. So what has to be done and what the priority is. And then they do something called sprint planning. So the team, which is typically 5 to 11 people, a very small team, is tasked with planning together. So when they're planning, what they're doing is taking the items off the top of the backlog, product backlog, the product owner is explaining it. The team is asking questions to understand how they're going to deliver it. And then they come up with a backlog of what they're going to deliver. So here they put together their objectives, they select what they can complete within the time frame. So what do I mean by time frame? It has a cadence. So for example, in our example, we have a 4-week cadence for the smartphones. And so every 4 weeks they have to deliver. So this team determines what they can deliver in priority order within that 4-week period. And then they put it into a workflow. And the workflow for an IT project would be, not started. This could be development. This could be quality tests. This could be business analyst review, and then it's done. So the team works together to deliver this. So the team has determined together what they can deliver, and that's where you get the term empowered teams. So the teams are not being told what to do. They are discussing and understanding and determining what they can deliver. This person, the Scrum Master, is the person that facilitates. What they are trying to do is create a high-performing team by coaching everyone into understanding what it takes to deliver something and making sure that all of the processes are being followed. And this person is a servant leader that coaches, that protects the team and grows the team. And then they have daily meetings to keep everyone updated and increase transparency. And ultimately, they create that increment. So a new feature on that smartphone. And then they do what's called the sprint review. This is where the internal or external customers actually see this product increment and they provide input. So they do a demo. And ultimately, that demo, that feedback goes back to the product owner who then reprioritizes that feedback into the backlog. And then they do what's called a sprint retrospective. Most of us might call the lessons learned. The difference with this retrospective is that with the lessons learned, you document what needs to be done, what should have gone differently. But with a retrospective, not only are you saying what went well, what didn't go well, you're saying, okay, out of the things that didn't go well, what are we going to address in this upcoming iteration? And that's the difference between a lessons learned and a retrospective. So it's to provide continuous improvement. And this continues, so in our example, it would be continuing for 48 months. So we'd have 48 iterations. Okay, and the roles. So we have the product owner. As we discussed, that person represents the customer, the voice of the customer. They prioritize the work that needs to be done. And all kinds of people fit into this role. So if you are in the business unit and you have some subject matter expertise or you're representing the customer, this is a great certification, a product owner certification. The titles associated with these certifications, product manager. We have a product owner, product manager certification. In scaled Agile, the product manager typically has at least 2 product owners reporting to them. And so anyone who's working in the business units that has business expertise may want to consider product owner, product manager certification. Scrum Master. So with this certification, you coach the team, you remove impediments. You need to be someone who has good people skills because you have to help the team grow, but they do not report to you technically. You're coaching them, you're a servant leader. You also have to be able to remove impediments. So someone who has good relationships with people outside of the team and within the organization. So you're a facilitator, you protect the team, manage the dependencies, monitors the progress and escalates issues. So people who are project managers very often become Scrum Masters. People who are general managers very often become Scrum Masters and Scrum coaches and Agile coaches. Agile team. So these are the people who are actually getting the work done. So you could be, if you're a database, you're a technical person, if you're a market researcher, if you know benefits well. So these are the people who are actually doing the work. They're just they're members of the team. In some instances, you'll see the word development team. So if you're in standard Agile and SAFe, they just call it the Agile team instead of the development team. Okay, so I'd like to stop here for questions.
Okay, it looks like we do have one right now from Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Is Agile used in traditional industrial manufacturing companies? IT, financial services, and technology companies seem to use the system. I've worked in sales and marketing in the industrial segment, and I'm trying to understand the value of the certification for me, or if this is time to gain a new certification and segue to another industry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's used across the board. And again, if you think about what it does, it enables incremental delivery and input and feedback. And it's not only to external customers, it's also to internal customers. So there's a benefit to not delivering something in its entirety. That's where you would use Agile, where you need input and where you can deliver incrementally.
Okay. And so folks, this is an opportunity, if you want, our break time, to ask Sharon a question via the chat. So hopefully you are typing and chatting, so we'll just wait a minute. So please take this opportunity. If not, of course, there'll be Q&A at the end of the session as well. So we'll just wait another moment or two, give people an opportunity to complete their typing. We'll see how that goes, if that's something that they're interested at this time.
Thank you. How am I doing on time? I can't see my...
So it's now about 9:15, so maybe another 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
Is that about right? You know your program better.
Nope, I can do that or better. Okay.
Okay, so let's see.
We're going
I'm going to go up. Let's see. Okay, well, we got that question earlier. Let's see. What is the Scrum Alliance?
Yes, so the Scrum Alliance is an organization. They were actually the first organization to have a credible Agile certification. And I had mentioned before the group that formed the Agile Manifesto. So you had Schwaber and Sutherland. So they created the first, I would say, credible certification called the Certified Scrum Master. And they have evolved. They have multiple certifications. The Certified Scrum Master. They also have a product owner certification as well.
Deborah asked, what kind of basic Agile overview or training is presented to Agile team members who are not certified?
So there are several. We recommend what's called the SAFe Scrum Master. And the SAFe product manager, product owner. The reason we recommend those two, and we'll talk about it shortly, is because it's a 2-in-1 certification. So you have at the team level, which we've been discussing, you have the Scrum Master role, the product owner role. But organizations who are doing Agile and are going to eventually need to scale. And because the Agile teams are only 5 to 11 people, that's the max for it to be effective. So once organizations have success, the next step is to scale it up. And in order to scale, you have to use a scaling framework. And SAFE is the #1 scaling framework, which I'll show in a few minutes. But since if you're going to get certified, it's best to get the 2-in-1 certification, which covers the team and covers the scaled level, so that you're prepared when the organization scales up, or the organization may have already scaled up. And I'll cover that in a few minutes.
Terrific, thank you. Grant is asking, do you know if there is still funding available from unemployment to subsidize training?
So there should be funding available. People have had difficulty getting through the unemployment office, given what's going on with the pandemic. They will need to open up shortly. They're starting to open back up. We're starting to get emails from them. So they're opening up very slowly.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. How long does it usually take to obtain any of these certifications? That's from Mark.
Sure. So the Waterfall certification takes longer, but the SAFE certifications, if you dedicate yourself full time, takes about 2 weeks. If you're working, it's going to take a lot longer. But in our program, the way we have it set up is that we have the lecture, and then we have a daily regimented schedule where the students study together and prepare together. And most people complete their certs in around 2 weeks. It depends on which cert it is. Most of the certs are within 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Joseph has a question. The Scrum Alliance offers Agile certifications. Are the other organizations that are offering credible, oh, I guess are there is what should be, other organizations that are offering credible certifications? What is the difference?
Yeah, so I'm going to give me a few minutes, and I'm going to get to the scaled certs, and then you'll see the difference.
Okay, Raymond, your question was also the same as Mark's. Eric, what happens when companies try to use both methodologies at the same time, cherry picking what they like from both of them?
Some are successful and some are not. Some organizations use a hybrid, and as I had discussed, there are certain projects that lend themselves to Waterfall and others that lend themselves to Agile. And so it's really determining on a case-by-case basis what's best for that particular project or program or initiative. And as long as they know how to implement it, they should be able to live together.
Okay, Hannah is asking, is there funding available at the one-stop career centers? So Sharon did just enter that. One Stop is the county's unemployment, so you probably do have funding available.
Yes, there should be funding, but they have many different centers, and we're going to cover that. You have to find the centers that's open. You have to find someone who's open. But they should be opening up soon.
Deb is asking, could you please give an example involving the use of Agile in pharma R&D? That sounds like a big question or a big answer. Okay.
Yeah, so R&D is by nature Agile, because you're working on you're trying to discover, do a discovery. So you do something and you learn and you keep adapting and adapting. So it's by nature Agile R&D.
Frank is asking, what about less scaling framework versus SAFE?
Yes, I'm going to hop over to this slide. So this is showing the different scaled frameworks. So SAFE has 30% of the market. LESS has 3% of the market. Everyone thought that LESS was going to take over the market because they were first to the market. They developed, this is from the Scrum Alliance, so they developed the CSM certification. But SAFE has such a comprehensive set of training and philosophies. And what SAFE has done that's different is they've taken all of the leading thinking and bundled it into SAFE. So, for example, we just taught what's called a Agile product management course, and I have an MBA in marketing, and that was, to me, the equivalent of taking an MBA marketing course. So there, what SAFE has done, it's really gone into different areas of the business and a higher level of thinking, and it's really focused on business agility and not just IT. And they're really focused on taking best practices from everywhere and bundling it together. And they say that, and it's evident when you look at the material, it's all the best practices bundled into one. And that's why they have most of the market, and it's going to grow exponentially. Because the way their programs are set up, there are courses for everyone, including the executive leadership, to be trained and get value out of it. The other ones are not doing it to that extent.
Okay.
And the others are trying to actually follow SAFE. So LESS was, which is the Scrum Alliance, was first to market in terms of Scrum, but SAFE has really taken it over.
So it's clearly less.
Yeah.
Jignesh is asking, what is a hybrid methodology? He's heard this many times before.
Yeah, so hybrid means that you're combining Waterfall and Agile. And I think I was at Pfizer for 10 years, and most of the time I used hybrid. So I used Waterfall to do my upfront planning, but I delivered incrementally. So that's an example of hybrid. So I did my budget and all of that up front with all of the processes at the beginning, but we delivered to the clients every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks, depending upon the project, and got their input. So when you're combining different methodologies, that's what you call a hybrid.
Okay, there are a couple of comments, but pretty much done with the questions. Oops, one more. From Haresh, how is disciplined Agile picking up from PMI?
I'm not sure. So PMI started their ACP in 2012, and then they recently took over. It's similar to SAFE, and I think they have 4 certifications. So it's kind of just beginning. But SAFE is so far ahead of the curve, and we are just for transparency. We're both we're partners with educational partners with both PMI and with SAFE. But SAFE is just so far ahead. I'm not sure how that's all going to play out. And PMI is an incredible organization. And so I'm sure they're going to advance it even further. But right now, SAFE is just really far ahead on everything regarding scaled Agile. And we're also looking at training in discipline, just because we are PMI partners. And it's also an excellent organization. They both are.
Perfect, thank you. So let's move along. That's the questions for now, and there'll be more time at the end of the program. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, and so this is just focused on lean. This is for Scaled Agile Framework. And what I was saying earlier is that they've really taken the best practices from many different disciplines and combined them. And so here it's showing enterprise solution delivery, lean portfolio management, organizational agility, continuous learning culture, a lean agile leadership, team and technical agility, and product delivery, agile product delivery. And so this is a new framework for SAFE that just came out January 7th. And this is why I was saying it's already taken off, but with this new framework that came out in January, it's really growing rapidly. And so someone had asked, what's the difference between Agile and Safe? So with Agile, your teams are 5 to 11 people. But what happens when you have an initiative that may be 100 people? You have a huge Safe initiative that you need to Agile initiative. So what Safe is, it's when you create teams of Agile teams. And that's why it's called scaled Agile. So you can have 10 teams of 10, whatever it is, as long as your individual teams are 11 or less. And so it enables you to coordinate all of the teams of teams into one big initiative. And the way that it's done is through a meeting called a program increment meeting. And in that meeting, which is held every 8 to 12 weeks, what they do is the teams get together and they plan out and they coordinate all of their work for the next 8 to 12 weeks. And that's what Scaled Agile is. It's the coordination of all the teams of teams. SAFE has taken it to the next level and said, let's look at every area of the business and how do we make each area of the business as effective and efficient as possible and as competitive as possible. So SAFE is what we call an emerging certification. It's growing, it's really taking over because of all those best practices. It's got lean in there, it's got all of these different components, and as you read through the materials, you'll see it. So these, if you go to the Scaled Agile Framework website, they have a section, it's scaledagileparamework.com. They have on the top a tab called Customer Stories. And each of these companies are telling how they have implemented SAFE. And so this is a good way to understand what it is by looking at all of the different kinds of implementations. And they're using it for different things. Some of them are IT, but other companies like PepsiCo is using it for packaging. And so different companies are using it for different things. And you have all the different industries. Like you have, someone mentioned pharma, you have AstraZeneca here, you have PepsiCo, you have banking, Capital One, very early adopter, MetLife, another banking, Lockheed Martin, HP, and there are many, many, many other companies who are using it. And it's growing rapidly. So if you're going to get a Scrum Master or a product owner, product manager, anything like that, I would recommend that you do it under the Scale framework because you'll have 2 in 1. And we're running out of time. I was going to go over the various certifications and the background, what you should be taking it.
Yeah, please take the extra few minutes, because we're not using a full meeting for things like our elevator pitches and other things. So okay. Yeah, let's go through this.
So these are what we call role-based certifications, and this is another way in which SAFE differentiates itself. And it has many different certifications depending upon your level and your role. And so, for example, this one is for software engineers. This one, Agile Product Management. So I actually just, we had this class yesterday and the day before, and today it's going on. This course, I had mentioned, this is like an MBA marketing course. And it's really focused on that high level, understanding the needs of the customer. So it doesn't look anything like there's no technology piece in it. It's really focused on customer centricity. How do we define the most competitive product or service? It's looking at personas. It's looking at the market. Why are we doing this? What's the vision? So this is ideal for not only anyone in marketing, it's ideal for people who are in product development in general. It's great for anyone in any leadership position that has to come up with business solutions, come up with products, or not even just people who are in strategy. So if you're in a strategy position, if you're working at a management consulting firm, this is an ideal course. And so these courses just really cut across. The next one is Leading Safe. So whenever an organization is implementing scaled agile framework, the first thing is to get leadership buy-in. So unlike the PMP and the PMP or team level agile, in order to implement SAFe, you must have leadership buy-in, meaning that the executives have to say, yes, we're going to invest in doing this. And what they do is they train leadership in this course. Most of them do not take the exam. So each of these courses have a certification exam, which if you take the course, you should absolutely earn. But leadership takes it for knowledge. And in this course, it tells them what they as leadership need to do in order to have an effective implementation of scaled agile framework. And it teaches them what their role is, how they facilitate it. And in the meetings, the meetings that I mentioned, the program increment meetings, leadership actually attends. They talk about the mission and the vision, and they are a big part of it. So it brings leadership closer to the people who are actually delivering the work. And it inspires, it excites the workers, the people who are actually on the ground delivering it. So this is for leadership. So whether you are an executive, a manager, you're in change management, because that's what they do if you want to work in a center of excellence, that's what this course is for. Lean portfolio management. So this, again, senior level positions for the LACE, the Lean Agile Center of Excellence. These people are looking at the organization's portfolio. Again, excellent for management consulting, anyone in a senior role, helping the organization figure out what it is they should be doing, what it is they should be working on. So we also have, there's a question. Oh, it went away. We also have Scrum Master and Advanced Scrum Master. So Scrum Master is focused on what you do with your team. Advanced Scrum Master is at a higher level. So many people ask about becoming an Agile coach, and that's a very prominent role. Agile coach, safe coach, having an Advanced Scrum Master certification will help you with that to get into more of a coaching role. DevOps, those who are in that technical area will find it valuable, but even those who are not, those people who are on the teams, understanding what DevOps does. So it's the bridge between the people who are developing the work and the operations people who are delivering the work. So you don't want to have a break in here where something's being developed, but it's not being appropriately delivered. And there's something called toggle. So for example, with the smartphone example that we went over, so you develop a great new feature. You don't necessarily want to deliver it out to the public. You may want to deliver it to a small team of people. So the dev team develops it, but the ops team says, okay, well, we're going to just toggle it to the appropriate set of people so that they can get more feedback, or you can pilot it. So there has to be a close relationship between development and operations. Architects. So for those who are technical architects, understanding how to build the infrastructure to enable this ongoing, constant delivery of value. Safe for government. This is a great certification, especially for those who are transition. The government loves processes, whether it's PMP or Agile. So Safe for Government is a great certification. Again, you can earn this certification in probably 2 to 3 weeks, and at minimum, get yourself a position as a contractor, a government contractor. And so this is designed for, it's similar to the Leading Safe course, but it has elements that are just focused on government. Safe for teams. That's for people who are going to be in the team delivering the work. So if you're a market researcher, if you are a developer, if you're an analyst, this is for the people who are actually on the team. That wouldn't also include the Scrum Master and the product owner, but especially for those who are delivering the work. Product owner, product manager, again, the business units, and we talked about the Scrum Master. Okay, and wanted to take a couple of minutes. We have alumni. We had, I was gonna just let you hear from one alumni very briefly on his experience with the training and what he was able to do with it. And that would be Terry Carruthers. And Terry is, okay.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everybody. First of all, thanks for Sharon and the Breakfast Club. Please, thanks for inviting me to speak briefly. I wanted to kind of give you my experience, I think, with the SAFe Agile framework and how the search have played a role in my career recently. But I'll just kind of take you back a bit just to give you my background. So, formally educated, I'm a chemist by training, bachelor's in that, PhD in polymer science, and I spent about 27 years in corporate America, from GE under Jack Welch, which Sharon talked about with Six Sigma and Lean and Design for Six Sigma methodology. So I was a certified master black belt there, rolling out enterprise-wide continuous improvement projects. Also worked at J&J, L'Oreal, 3M, and a startup company out in Silicon Valley. So my background is everywhere from specialty chemicals to medical diagnostics, medical device, cosmetics with L'Oreal, as I just talked about, and most recently, I'm a consultant out in pharma, in large part due to the Agile and SAFe and scaled Agile methodologies that I learned. So about a year and a half ago, I was in the cosmetic space. The organization was going through a reorg, and I was offered a severance package. Took early retirement, which is great because now you get family time, you get a chance to work on your sports and your background, but most of all, I think it gave me an opportunity to do some self-reflection. Here I am, mid-50s, okay, what do you do now with your career? And one of the things I was blessed to have was outplacement service as an executive at this cosmetic firm out at Lee Hecht Harrison. And there they talked about in their career workshops and some workshops on recruiter thinking, how do you now go out and understand and find hot careers or careers that are very much in demand? So these words kept coming up, and the words were things like design thinking, cybersecurity, big data, data analytics, Agile, Scrum, and then this word popped up, SAFe. Had no idea what SAFe was about, but I said, let me find out a little more. So I went to the Career Center out in Essex County, and then they talked about these WIA grants, where they would grant you X amount of dollars to help out with your career if you were either unemployed or what they call underemployed. You're not taking full advantage of your ability to learn, this cognitive thinking that Sharon talked about earlier, and making yourself viable in today's market. So I explored the WIA grant, then went out and searched several organizations, and of course came across BTI, Sharon and her colleagues there. What attracted me to them was that they did have very seasoned executives who had both industry experience as well as latest up-to-date thinking on how do you drive enterprise improvements and optimizations. In particular, Randy Schubert, I'll call him out directly, who had a strong background both at ADP as well as the teachers retirement system. But I was able then to go out, gain 3 certifications. Sharon talked about those. One is the leading safe Agilist role. So that's really where you're trying to lead the charge at an executive level, which is where my career has taken me. I'm a product owner, product manager now, and I'm also a scaled Agile, what you call Scrum Master. So again, as I told you before, I had and still have certifications as a Six Sigma Lean Design for Six Sigma Master Black Belt. I could marry that then with these Agile certifications that gives me a real broad view of how to run an organization, how to run enterprise-wide initiatives, and how to drive effective change throughout the business for business results. So most recently, before I even completed the certification, and as I completed certs, I put them out on LinkedIn. Sharon didn't talk about it, but once you gain your certs through SAFE, you have what they call a digital badge. That digital badge then gets uploaded into my LinkedIn profile, and I'm telling you, within minutes, I was getting hits both from recruiters as well as the 900 plus members I have on my my network, both with congratulatory messages, but also with opportunities within their organization. So these certs very much impacted my approach to getting reemployed. And so 2 months ago now, I was employed by RGP, Resources Global Professional, as a senior consultant, and I'm working out at a pharma company, a human healthcare company in New Jersey, driving a revamp of their procurement organization. So I'm the de facto chief purchasing officer for them now, and I'm driving it through a lean framework, starting with Scrum, but certainly will scale up after I've built my staff.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. So guys, if I leave you with one message, believe me, these certifications can play a role in making you employable. And again, if you're underemployed, it certainly can bring you into today's competitive environment.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Pleasure meeting everybody today.
Thank you. Okay. Can everyone see my slide again, the transition services?
Yes.
Okay. So very briefly, I know we're way over time. The state has grants that cover the cost of our programs. We're both PMI and SAFE partners, and we specialize in Agile, Waterfall. We've been doing training for more than a decade, and early adopters of SAFE. And these are our new programs that we're starting. And the programs include the training, the book supplies, practice exams, exam fees. Everything is included. And this is the link to the state where you can find the one-stop center near you. I'm trying to figure out which ones are taking people, which ones are opening up. And so I'm still in that process. People are kind of trickling in here and there, but there's no one that's completely open at this point, although they should be within the next week or two. These are the programs we have. We have a PMP program. We have an Agile program, which is the one that Terry mentioned, where he obtained multiple certifications. And so we bundled them together so that you could have all sides of it. So we have leading safe, Scrum Master, product owner, product manager bundled together. We also have the business intelligence, which includes, so we have Tableau, Power BI, SQL, and Excel. Okay, and also very briefly, we offer project services, transition services, including resume writing, interviewing, and we also host what we call speed recruiting events, where we invite top employers to interview our students. We're trying to figure out how we can do that now, given the pandemic, but we have top employers. Some of them are here: Accenture, KPMG, Merck, TD Bank. We've had Prudential, we've had Bank of America, we've had BASF, many, and they're sit-down interviews, so they're not stand-in-line events. And so back to our first statement or question, which is why certify? Basically, to feed your career through continuous learning. And I'm going to put my information up here while the questions come in. And I have to find the slide. I'm just going to write it in here. If you want to reach out to me, you can just email me at info@btiinstitute.com. I'm also going to put my number here. You can text me if you'd like to set up some time to talk. This is my cell.
You know, Sharon, if you're able to give us your slides, we could post them on the Breakfast Club website and give us the slide with this updated slide. In other words, create the one with your contact.
That'll be
so that
fine.
way we'll put it right on the Breakfast Club website. It'll be available. Certainly it's good to have the information here, so you can leave this slide up for now. As we answer the questions, just leave the slide. So I guess it was an earlier question, is Sharon able to give us her slides? It looks like she agreed to. So we'll get them up as soon as we can. And just like I said, give us the one updated slide with your contact information. It'll be extra helpful that way.
Okay.
Okay, so Dara has asked, is there a SAFE or Agile certification for finance professionals?
Yeah, so I need to understand exactly what you want to do in SAFE. So for example, at the top level, let me just go, there is a there's a whole body up here around lean budgets. So all of the organizations who are transitioning to Agile, I had a slide that talked about how they're going from cost accounting to funding value stream. So there's going to be an entire body of work that needs to be learned and done with regards to Agile. So that specifically is you have to deal with, and that would be the Lean Portfolio Management course. But also, you can it could be anywhere, because you could be working on a finance project or finance program. And in that case, it could be any of the courses, including the product owner, product manager course. So it depends on what you're planning to do. But yeah, there are multiple courses that would be good for a finance professional.
Okay, Jariel asked, how long are these certifications valid for? How many years? Is it different for each certification?
So they basically, what happens with the SAFE certifications is you are a member for a year, and then you have to pay to keep them renewed. So they don't disappear, you have to renew them. But SAFE does an upgrade periodically. So when they do an upgrade, so for example, they just went from SAFE 4 to SAFE 5. What you want to do, so when they went to SAFE 5, the SAFE 4 certifications are still valid, but you can test. They give you the materials to study and test to upgrade to the next level. There's no cost for that, but you do have to renew your certification. So that's where the cost comes. But you only have to retest when they do an upgrade, and it's not required. You would just be certified for the previous level.
Okay, Nancy is asking, I'm a senior software engineer. If I were to get the SAFE DevOps certification, do you think companies would hire me as a DevOps person at a senior level, even if I don't have DevOps experience, or would they expect me to come in at a junior level?
That I don't know. I think
Yeah.
the best way to find out would be to go on LinkedIn and find some people who are in that role and to ask that question. So that I'm not sure of. It's if I think it's always it depends, because people always I've seen people get roles for which they don't have experience with these SAFE certifications because it's so new. So we've had people who only have 6 months as a Scrum Master and they become coaches. We've had people who have a year and they become release train engineers. We've had a student who had a year and became a lean portfolio manager, not because they had the experience. It was more because no one was certified. So few people are certified, they're willing to take a chance. And so those all happened at smaller organizations. So they went to organizations that were smaller who were looking for these skill sets, and there weren't a lot of people. So they hired people who were trained, but not necessarily had done it already, but they were convinced that they could do it because they had other transferable skills and the certification together. So I think it really depends. If you can find an organization that is willing to take your transferable skills combined with your certification. We see that happening a lot, simply because there aren't a lot of certified people for the amount of job, as compared to the amount of job opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Grant is asking, can you take the SASM class if you have CSM certification?
Yes, and so the prerequisite for the SASM is that's the SAFE Advanced Scrum Master. You should have either a CSM or an SSM or a PSM as a prerequisite.
Okay. Kavita is asking, this is really for all of us to know, is this session being recorded? Will we share it? Yes, it is being recorded. It will be up on the Breakfast Club of New Jersey YouTube channel, if not this evening, by tomorrow morning. So just look on YouTube for that. Is this the same concept? This is from Robert. Is this the same concept as zero-based budgeting?
Not based on my understanding of zero-based budgeting. No. I think they're different based on my understanding. I'm not an expert on zero-based budgeting, so I would have to get back to you on that. If you can reach out to me, I'll definitely look into that. I'll ask the other instructor, who's pretty much an expert with all of this.
Okay. Barbara's asking, if you are long-term unemployed and have used training resources in the past for PMI, PMP, and PMI ACP, do you believe you could qualify for learning Safe Agile? I guess it means qualify for funds for that.
I think you get one grant every 4 years. That's what it used to be, unless they're changing it for the pandemic. But it used to be one grant every 4 years.
And Barbara's follow-up question, would there be value in having both PMI, ACP, and Safe Agile?
Yes, and actually our program has that. So let's see. Yeah, so that's a combination. So you can take 4, and that's what a lot of our people do. They get this combination.
Okay.
Which is the ACP and the SAFE.
Okay.
The SAFE is a program portfolio level, and the Agile is team level. I'm sorry, the ACP is team level.
Okay. Who are the controlling bodies for these certifications?
So for the SAFE certifications, it's Scaled Agile Inc. And you can go to their website. So Scaled Agile Inc. To learn more about SAFE, you would go to Scaled Agile Framework. And I'll add a slide with those resources. For the PMP and the ACP, you're looking at the Project Management Institute. They also have disciplined Agile.
Okay. Ramesh is asking, can you customize these programs based on individual needs? For example, I have PMP and CSA certs already, but thinking of doing another SAFE cert.
Yes.
Okay. And so that seems to be the end of the questions. So thank you everybody for participating. Sharon, thank you so much. I want to thank you for the time that you gave us and this wonderful information. And just before we end the meeting, just want to ask George Pace to, if you can, quickly unmute your microphone. George does a weekly presentation, and he has a topic coming up tomorrow related to this very topic. So, George, hopefully if you're still on and listening, you can join us right now.
I am here, David. Thank you. So I just sent a note out to the Breakfast Club. But for those that don't know, I've been doing a weekly webinar Sunday mornings at 9. If you go to my Facebook page, which is on facebook.com/keep pace, you can see all the old ones or the previous ones. And for this week, there's a lot of different, and again, for those, again, don't know, a lot of the conversation is about job impact and the coronavirus and what to expect. So right now, a lot of what I'm seeing is kind of the preparation for what's coming next. I'll quickly go over the list, but a few of the things that are really starting to catch my interest. What to expect when you do go back to work and what that environment might look like and what employers are going to have to do. There's actually an interesting iOS beta that's coming out with an API that's going to allow your phone, if you have it turned on with Bluetooth, to know, basically keep track of who you've been associated with or nearby, that if one of them gets infected with the coronavirus, they would be able to contact everybody else that was in the vicinity of that person. Interesting stuff. Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's got some interesting unemployment dashboards I want to share. I've been looking at spreadsheets to track things that you're going to apply for job applications, I think is good. McKinsey stuff on reskilling, pandemic job-related interview questions. How do you like that one? A COVID job scan that I'm seeing, job scams with recruiters or people pretending to be recruiters, and then a little bit more about virtual meetings and how to get reacquainted with them. So that's all going to be on tomorrow's docket. Thank you, David.
Great, thank you very much, George. So folks, as we wrap up, just want to let you know a couple of things. As a reminder, next month, June 13th, Eileen Sinnett will be joining us. We will be virtual next month, and her program is Body Language for Job Seekers. Just to let you know, the Breakfast Club of New Jersey is keeping abreast of our ability to either remain virtual or, when prepared to remain or to go back into being in person. We don't know what that date of being in person is going to be, but we are going to keep our programs virtual. There are other groups in the area that also have virtual programs. I'm sorry if I skip one or two, I'm terribly sorry, but want to let you know a few. Professional Service Group of Central New Jersey, they meet every Monday morning at 10:30 in the morning. And so you can go speak with, look at their website, psgcnj.biz. Upcoming program this Monday is Mastering the Interview. Also, every first and third Saturday of the month is Careers in Transition, or CIT, a very long-standing group. If you're not familiar with the group, you'll see that it's a very robust group. They offer presentations now virtually. Look for Career in Transition Short Hills, maybe Google that, or go to the Christ Church website, Christ Church in Short Hills, and Career in Transition has a page there. They have a meetup group as well. So once you get connected with them, you'll get the link for their program as well. PSG, or Professional Service Group of Mercer County, meets every Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org. Go to their event calendar to get the link for the upcoming meeting. So those are some of the other virtual meetings and resources that are available to us. And again, thank you very much to Sharon. This was terrific. Thanks, Jerry, for
Thank you.
It-
Sorry for running over so late, but thank you.
This was valuable and important, so I'm glad. It was chock full of information. Very few people left. You had a lot of good questions, so don't worry about that at all. No one is really concerned. You got a lot of good information. So as
David?
we wrap, yes.
David, one other thing, if Adrian is still on, I just want to give her a nod that she's taken over the list, and if she just wanted to.
Oh yeah, so the Tom Donahue's list.
Yeah.
So for many years, probably 10 years or so, a gentleman named Tom Donahue has been keeping a list of all job seeker support programs almost anywhere, but mostly in the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area. Tom needed to take a leave from doing that, and Adrian Roman, our very own Adrian Roman, has taken that over. I can't imagine it's in better hands than with Adrian because of her experience with social media and such. Adrian is the face that greets you when we meet in person, and if her camera's on, she's the face that greets you right now. So, yep, that's true. So she will be maintaining that list for all people, job seekers. So thank you, Adrian, for doing that.
Dave, just an input on Wednesday mornings, a Zoom session at 9 o'clock, starting at 9 o'clock. Professional services group of Musk, Dale Favia will be reviewing resumes, and it's a real safe place to get another opinion about your resume.
Terrific. Thank you, John. So there are programs that are still active and running, even though these programs cannot meet in person. They are being kept active for us virtually. And so, John, thank you very much. John also is active with CIT. You may see him there, as is Marty Latman. So thanks again to Sharon. Everyone, we wish you all a safe week, a safe month. We hope to see you all virtually next month. And so do have a good day. So stay safe and stay inside, and we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.